What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Box Out Podcast. I am your host, Nate Mendez. Thank you all for tuning in. We are just 2 days away from the NBA trade deadline, and craziness has already happened. Let's just hop right into some content because this has just been some big news over the weekend. Kyrie Irving has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, the reports came out that he requested a trade on Friday evening. I think as I was getting out of class, I saw it, and I was like, that's crazy, because the trade deadline was shaping up to be somewhat boring. Either it was going to be super boring, or it was going to be super eventful. Now we know it's going to be super eventful. And so Kyrie Irving being traded to the Mavs is just the first domino to fall. Now there's other dominoes to fall, whether that means what other superstars are getting traded. Are the Nets open market? Are they selling everything? Are they buyers? We don't exactly know. The Kyrie Irving news was crazy to begin with, but even the trade to the Mavericks was even crazier to believe. So he was traded to the Dallas Mavericks for Dorian Finney-Smith, Spencer Dinwiddie, and draft compensation. The Mavs also got Markieff Morris in his deal. He's all right. I mean, as a Suns fan, I have a little bit of experience with Markieff Morris. Not a huge fan. But, this is good for the Mavs. The Mavs finally get another superstar to put next to Luka. And, it's good for the Brooklyn Nets just because they get some more bench pieces around Durant. Obviously, you don't want to trade Kyrie, but it's not like he was doing much for you. I want to give some trade grades for this. So for the Mavs, I give them a C+. I mean, obviously, it is an attempt to get Luka a championship, an attempt to get Luka, be successful, another superstar to play with. But Kyrie Irving has a tendency to mess up the teams that he's been a part of. He was part of the Boston Celtics, and good thing they had Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, because if they didn't have those guys, they would be in a totally different place than where they are now. Kyrie Irving was also a part of the Brooklyn Nets organization right there, and he messed it up for them as well. He's like, oh, I'm coming back. I'm coming back for sure. Really? Are you? And, that's the thing, is that Kyrie Irving is just so unpredictable as a player. This is hard. This trade is a make or break trade. Either you get a championship year one with Kyrie. Great for Luka. You get him a championship. That's what you make a trade for. One championship. Like the Lakers, some say that getting Anthony Davis and trading their way their young core was a failure, but they got a championship. That's what you trade your pieces for, is you want the elusive championship. However, if you don't get the championship this year, Kyrie Irving can leave in the offseason. And people are still saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility for him to go back to play with LeBron in LA. So this is a risky move for the Mavs. This is a make or break trade. Either you get a championship, move on with your life, or he screws up your future so much that Luka Doncic is going to leave. Because there's nobody else on this team. I mean, Christian Wood's okay, but he's not like somebody that you're like, oh, that's my number 2 guy. Like, we can go out and win a championship together. He's not even a good number 3. So Mavs don't really have anybody in that team anymore. It's Christian Wood, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. He's okay. But there's not a whole lot of guys on that team. Not even a whole lot of depth. So I'm excited to see what the Mavs are going to do. And I think it's just going to be fun basketball watching Kyrie and Luka Doncic just playing together. It's just going to be a fun brand of basketball to watch. But for the Nets, though, I give them a B+. And you're saying they traded the superstar. Yes, they did. However, this superstar is Kyrie. They have had a toxic relationship for a long time. Kyrie Irving accepting his player option and saying, I was taking the high road. Like, that's the kind of tension that was between these two guys, the franchise and Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he really didn't want to play with them. They were kind of sick of his games. Now, I'm not going to talk about his political stance on the vaccine or talk about his political opinions, anti-Semitism, all that. I'm not going to get into all that. Fact of the matter is, though, is he is a controversial figure. And it sucks, but at the end of the day, you're here to play basketball, and the people that are paying you to play basketball want you to play. And he wasn't doing that. And so that's why there was a lot of friction between them. So it's just great for them to move on. They get some great depth pieces. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith, a report came out like 7 days ago that said Dorian Finney-Smith, they're trying to trade Dorian Finney-Smith for a superstar. I did not believe it, but they got Kyrie Irving. And then they got Spencer Dinwiddie. He goes back to Brooklyn, where I think he started his career, and hopefully he flourishes. But you're like, okay, so it's Kevin Durant and a bunch of role players. So does that mean Kevin Durant's going to be traded? Short answer, eventually. Not this deadline, though. Just there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that make me say that. Number one, it's very hard to trade two superstars at the deadline. You're going a totally different direction as a franchise. It's very difficult to trade two superstars at the deadline. Not only that, when you trade two people think back to summer of 2019. Dallas Mavericks, the Brooklyn Nets get Kyrie Irving in free agency. They sign and trade for Kevin Durant. I think they signed D'Angelo Russell, traded him for Kevin Durant. There was so much buzz around the Brooklyn Nets organization. Then later on in the season, you get James Harden, and Brooklyn Nets fans are ecstatic, and you're like, oh, this is 3 championships at least. 1 playoff series win. I mean, you get 1 playoff series win. You trade Harden. I mean, you get Ben Simmons, you get Seth Curry, but you trade Harden, who's a superstar in his own right. You just traded Kyrie, and then you're going to trade Kevin Durant. If he trades Kevin Durant, the GM's probably going to be fired. That shows you that he failed as a GM, and that what he did not work for the organization. That's a bad look for you as a GM, and so I don't think the GM is ready enough. What I mean by that, I don't think he's willing to find another job to trade Kevin Durant to another organization, because he's not going to get anybody near Kevin Durant's level. Kevin Durant's older. So let's say, okay, but what if Kevin Durant requests a trade? Do we have to trade him? Short answer is also no. He has 4 years left on his deal. So if he just sits for 4 years. Who cares? You're not going to be competing for anything anyway, because there's no other superstar next to Kevin Durant. So the Brooklyn Nets management has all the leverage, because even we saw Joe Tsai. Joe Tsai was not willing to trade Kyrie Irving to Los Angeles because that was his preferred destination. So, I thought there were other deals on the table. The Phoenix Suns offered Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, and picks. I think just 1 first round in a couple seconds. Lakers, some reports say they offered the 2 first round picks. Some say they didn't. Either way, Joe Tsai was not willing to put him there in that position. He didn't want to give in to Kyrie's demands. So Joe Tsai, I think, because he had a little bit of beef with Kevin Durant during the offseason as well. We will see. If I could bet on it, I would say no, just because the Nets management have all the leverage. If the GM traded him, he most likely is going to get fired, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't want. And you're not going to really be setting yourself up for the future, because you don't even have your own draft picks. You can get draft compensation, but the team you just traded with has Kevin Durant now. You're not going to get a good draft pick for the next 2, 3, 4 years. So it's just going to be void anyway. So I don't expect a whole lot to happen with Kevin Durant this season. I think he's just going to say, look, I made my bed. I'm going to lie in it. I wish that I could win a championship with Kyrie. He didn't want to play for us anymore. It sucks, but you just got to move on. Now, talking about one of the most game-breaking trades, just breaking news today, Dwayne Dedmon to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to be honest. This is just such a boring trade. It's boring. It also has some other implications, but he was only traded for a second-round pick. That's all the Spurs paid for him. Dwayne Dedmon is most notably known for throwing a massage gun onto the court mid-game and just overall being a terrible backup center. This is not a game-breaking trade. I think what this trade points to, though, is Jakob Poeltl of the Spurs getting traded, because they have expressed already that they are looking to move on from him, because I think they expect to get their center of the future in the draft in Victor Wembanyama. So they're trying to tank, and Jakob Poeltl hurt. They're tanking. So they want 2 first-round picks. They have Dwayne Dedmon now, who, if you want to tank, that's the guy to get. Dwayne Dedmon is the guy to get if you're going to be a tanking organization. So, yeah. It's not all crazy, but I just wanted to mention it today, just trade news. I saw a report today that almost sent me crazy. It said The Sacramento Kings are close to acquiring Brooklyn Nets forward. I was like, oh my goodness, is Kevin Durant going to be traded? It was some other guy. I think it was Walker Kessel or something. I forget exactly who it was on Brooklyn, but it was just a backup. So, I mean, not a crazy trade, but I almost was like, oh my goodness. So it happened right before I started recording, too. So I was about to report on everything, but it was just a smoke screen. I thought it was going to be about Kevin Durant. But the reports that are saying the Suns are looking to acquire Kevin Durant or looking to pursue Kevin Durant if he's available. I also would like to pursue Margot Robbie if she became available. But I think the fact of the matter is, though, I think neither of those people are available, or do we have the facilities to get them? I don't. For Margot Robbie, I'm pretty sure the Phoenix Suns don't have all the trade pieces to go get Kevin Durant, but that's besides the point. But speaking of the Phoenix Suns, we have some crazy news. Not crazy news, but good news for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker of the Phoenix Suns, star shooting guard, probably either number 2 or number 1 in the shooting guards in the league. Excellent scorer. He has not played a game since December 17th. He played 4 minutes in Christmas, but I don't really count that. He's back tonight on national television against none other than the Brooklyn Nets. So I'm very excited as a Suns fan. It was a hard little time. I think he was out 25 games. Been out 25 games this season. So it's been hard as a Phoenix Suns fan to watch the Suns crumble a little bit. They got better, and they're on a little bit of a hot streak right now. And so, very excited that, one of the stars is back and playing for his team. Very excited to watch that game tonight. Just a reminder, I hope you all enjoy the video, but I will be going live Thursday right after the deadline. So I think for me, it ends at 1, but that's when I get out of class. I'll probably start recording at 2 Central Time. 2 Central Time. That's when I'll go live. You can watch the video after the fact. You can watch it live, but, I will be going live, just FYI, and going over all the moves that happened during the NBA trade deadline. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in, and I am very excited for this trade deadline. I hope to see you guys soon.